Thank you, everyone, for attending. I'd like to welcome you to the April regular meeting of the Police and Fire Commission. We'll start with the roll call.
Here.
Commissioner Cheslock?
Here.
Commissioner Cobb?
Here.
Commissioner Wanizak?
Present.
All right, all commissioners are present. First agenda item is approval of the agenda. You received that in the mail a few days ago. Are there any changes, corrections, or additions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wanizak. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Roloff. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, the agenda has been approved. Next item is approval of the minutes. There were two sets of minutes in your packet for the regular meeting held March 4th and the special meeting held March 17th. Are there any questions or adjustments to those? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve both of those sets of minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Roloff.
Seconded.
Seconded by Commissioner Cheslock. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Here, no opposed. So the minutes have been approved. Now we're in the informational section, a President's report. The report that that Commissioner Cobb has been working on a process to accept public input on our selection process for the chief of police. And as those get further fleshed out, they'll be reviewed with the commissioners and we can set up the formal processes and communications to do that for folks. With that, I'll turn it over to the chiefs. So we'll start with Chief Litton.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just a couple of things to report. We had one retirement effective yesterday, Captain Joel Kruger. Retired yesterday. He's been off quite a while on an extended medical leave, and due to his circumstances, this came to the point where he needed to retire, and so we got notice yesterday that he was retiring effective immediately. So we're sorry to see him go. Long-time officer in the department, really great officer for us, and so we're sorry to see him go. And but just the circumstances that were involved. Just report on the recruits. They're about 4 weeks into their recruit academies right now. They are doing very, very well. All the candidates are doing good. They're actually will be starting their field work tomorrow out at NWTC on fire behavior and working through things at the training tower out there tomorrow. They'll be out there all next week as well. And just remind you that their graduation ceremony is set for May 7th. Time yet to be determined, but will be 5 or 5:30 in the afternoon or evening at NWTC. So just for your calendar purposes, I think I sent out notice on that, but we still don't have a room assignment yet, but as soon as we do, we'll get that out to you. And again, on that same day, on May 7th, just for the new commissioners, I guess, we do a kind of a display for the families that morning at NWTC, where they'll be doing some car extrication and a live kind of pull up attacking a fire thing in the training tower, and just some evolutions so that their family can kind of see what they've been going through, and it gives the opportunity for them to kind of show their families what they've been doing. And so that'll be that morning. It'll start about 9 o'clock in the morning on that Friday. It'll go a couple of hours, and then we give them a break to go home, get a shower and everything, and get ready for their graduation later in the evening. So but the commissioner is certainly welcome to be there for that. We'll get you further information out on that. I just wanted to bring that to your attention today. We're, about, I guess so. But things are going well with the Recruit Academy. Again, everybody's been really, really good, very attentive. Training's going well for them. And, looking forward to having them graduate. And the last thing I have to tell you about is the Wisconsin State Fire Chiefs Association will be here in Green Bay in June. That runs from the 24th through the 27th. We'll be at the KI Convention Center. If any of you would be interested in attending the opening ceremony for that, we'll get you some complimentary passes into that. I'm the first vice president of the association currently, and will be sworn in as president on that Saturday night at our president's dinner for 21 and 22, or for the remainder of 21 and into June of 22. So if any of you are interested in attending that, let me know. We'll make sure we get you some. And that concludes my report.
Great. Are there any questions for the chief? I was going to ask about the details of the event at the KI, and so we can come and congratulate you in person for being selected president of that group. I know you've been very active in that, and it's nice to see that recognition.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Chief Litton? All right, Chief Smith.
Hi, everybody. Sorry for technical difficulties logging on. This is my cell phone. I'm not sure what's going on with the computer. Couple things real quick. I sent you out the numbers. So far, they're fantastic this year. I mean, here we are a quarter of the way through. 46% reduction in crimes against person, 12% reduction in crimes against property. Total overall crime down 22%. We did have a homicide this past week, which that individual was stabbed. Suspect was in custody within about 18 hours. And that was an altercation at the gas station. And it looks like it's more of a road rage type incident. Doesn't look like these two individuals knew each other. That did get some coverage in the paper. Speaking of the paper, you're going to see some attorney has filed 3 civil rights lawsuits against the department. That's going to be coming up in the paper. The one was a 2018 case, and 2 are other newer cases. Laws on top of it. We're aware of them. And, if you have anything else you need to know about that, I'm happy to discuss it with you. Just give me a call. We're getting prepared for the Minneapolis trial of Derek Chauvin regarding the George Floyd incident. Obviously, there's a potential for civil unrest depending on how that goes. And that's something that we're well aware of. We're keeping in touch with, obviously, the folks in Minneapolis to what's going on with the court case. But we're also looking what's happening here locally and seeing what kind of internet stuff people are putting out there, any planned protests. Right now, we don't have anything planned out, but we're not going to be relying on that. We're reaching out to all of our community partners and community connections. And Kevin has been doing the bulk of this, meeting with people from We All Rise to make sure that have open dialogue and open communication with them, meeting with some of the prior organizers of protests to have conversations with them, to let them know, that we're paying attention to what's going on, and that if there is a protest, we can certainly help facilitate peaceful protests. Kevin's been in touch with some of the Somali community leaders, working with other different organizers and community interventionists to try and let people know that we're paying attention. And if something does happen regarding the trial over there, we want to be ready. We, of course, are making sure our officers are well trained in crowd control, crowd management techniques. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. I don't know how long the trial is going to last. We were told it could be 2 or 3 more weeks. Not sure how long how accurate that is, but again, we'll be paying close attention to that. Other than that, things are going well. Officers are out there working hard day, and crime numbers are doing really well for us, so that's always good news. We're still waiting for an announcement on the interim chief. I don't know if that's going to happen today or when that's going to happen, but there's a lot of questions about that are coming up. So whenever we're able to do that, that would be terrific. And I'll stick around for the interviews that you're going to do later as well.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Chief Smith?
Not a question, just a comment. Thank you for the foresight to get out in front of the announcement of the trial or the Floyd verdict, and working with those community partners ahead of time. I think that'll really be dividends.
Sir, we're going to continue to do that, up to and through the end of the trial, of course. And it's just the way we do business around here. And I think that's, and I got hats off to Kevin for all the great work he's done on that. But it's just the way we do business. I think it's the new norm in Green Bay.
All right. Any other questions? If not, the next informational item is the online application system for the fire department. There's a summary of that process in your packet. For the new commissioners, this is I believe no different than what we've done in the past few years in order to find fire candidates. And I've been delighted with the quality of candidates that we've been finding these last few years. So that's been a really good move for us. Are there any questions about that process? All right, since it's already been approved, we will just leave that as an informational item. Next item, and again, Chief Litton, it looks like now we're just into bills, and then we'll have interviews with patrol officer candidates. So you're welcome to stay if you'd like, but if you have more pressing things to do, feel free.
Good, great. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you.
All right, thank you,
Bye.
Chief. Next items were the budget status report and the budget spreadsheet. It looks like fire is well underspent to date, but usually we don't have those big charges until later on in the year. And with police, we have a couple of physical or assessment charges, and then we're starting to see the charges for the ads that we did for replacing Chief Smith. So any questions or concerns about any of those? If not, I'll entertain a motion to receive those and place on file.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wanazak,
Seconded.
seconded by Commissioner Cheslock. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? None opposed, so we'll receive those and place on file. The next item was consideration with possible action on approval of the monthly bills. Those bills were in your packet. Again, they're just in relation to the ads and the assessments. If there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion to authorize payment.
So
Motion.
moved.
Moved by Commissioner Cheslock, seconded by Commissioner Cobb. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll pay the bills. I think I missed something in here. Online training system training.
Sure. We can go back to that.
So again, this is the system that the commissioners will use to review all of the applications for chief and to be able to start our work for that. So that's something you'll be able to sign in and do on your own time.
All right. You all set for me then?
Yes.
Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good. So the system that we use for our online applications and reviewing applications is called Neogov. And so we will get you all set up with a username and password so that you each have your own account. And I'm going to share my screen here.
Jen, will I still have my old username and password, or since we haven't used it for 5 years, have I been kicked out and we'll get a new one?
I think we should be able to use that same one.
Okay, I'll try it.
Okay. Can you all see my screen? It says Neogov up in the top left. Okay. So I've created a fictional posting so that we could do this in open session. So what I'll be using, it's a clerk typist 3 position. Just for the sake of training everyone and being able to do it in open session, I created this fictional posting, and then my coworker and I both submitted a fictional application. So he was much more creative with the name Billy Goodhire, and mine was Joseph Smith. So I realized I need to be a little bit more creative. So we will provide you all with some written instructions as well. We can provide those along with your username and when we initially get you set up in the system. And so that will contain the website, but it's just login.neogov.com. And that will take you to a screen where you'll enter your email and your password. And when you log into Neogov, after you enter that information, you're going to want to make sure that you click the drop-down menu at the top left, and that says OHC. And what that is stands for Online Hiring Center. And my internet's kind of slow. And you'll be doing, it's called the Subject Matter Expert Review, or the SME review, which is the process of reviewing applications. So once you're in the OHC, you'll click on Dashboard, and it may take you there automatically as well. But this is what your dashboard will look like. And then the only posting that you'll see is the police chief posting. So that will show up in this spot here. So you'll click on that. And I've got to minimize this here. Okay. And so then once you're within the posting, then you can scroll down to find each candidate's name. So again, here we just have two fictional examples. And you can click on the first name, and they should show up in alphabetical order. So in this case, it's Billy Goodhire. And this, by clicking on his name, it will take you to his application. And so this section here will contain information about the candidate's contact information, some general questions regarding relocation, the type of work that they're looking for, and their availability. And then the next section is their work experience. And so they'll list all of their work experience by position with all the relevant information. So their position title, their duties, the organization or employer, and then some questions regarding dates, reason for leaving, that sort of thing. So they will have likely multiple different jobs or employers listed here. And then as you continue down, there will be an education section. And so that would be, for example, college, or I would imagine candidates might list, for example, their FBI Academy in this section. And then some additional skills in the section below. And then references, so they could include any of their personal or professional references in this section. And then attachments is last, and that will likely be a cover letter and resume, possibly a letter of recommendation. Those are, I would say, the most common items. So you can scroll up and down and review it as many times as you would like. And then the next section over here, it says questions. And these are some standard questions that we ask of all applicants. Questions about moving violations, and if they have relatives of the city, whether they've ever worked for the city, if they've ever been suspended, terminated, or resigned in lieu of termination from any position. And again, those are standard questions, as well as where they learned of this opportunity. So once you've had a chance to review the application, you'll make a rating, and so there'll be a box for every commissioner with their initials. This is mine, for example, JS, and the rating key would be 0 if it's someone that you really don't think is the right fit for the position, probably not someone that you're interested in interviewing. A 1 would be a maybe, someone that you think is worth discussing further, could potentially be a good candidate. And then 2 would be someone that you are definitely interested in interviewing. And then you can make comments to support your rating. And when you're doing that, if you could just type your initials and then type your comments. And then, you'll assign your score right here in this box. once you've made your rating, and you can see others' ratings here, you'll hit submit.
So, excuse me, Jen, go back. So if let's say Rashad goes in, rates a candidate, puts a comment in there, I go in after him, I will see his comment
Yes.
and see that he has initials. Then where will I'll see his rating in that second box down?
Yes, this year I used my coworker Adam, and so his initials are AR. So this would be the box that he would use, and then any comments that he would have made as well. So we'll have a box
Oh, so
for
there'll be
each of the
five
commissioners.
separate boxes for each
Yes.
of us in there. Okay.
Yes.
Or one
Yep.
for each of us.
And then when I hit it submit, it took me right away to the second application. In this case, Joseph Smith. So this is our second applicant, and we'd have the same opportunity to go through this candidate's information in the same way. And again, make the rating, comments, and hit submit, and that will take you through each of the applications. And then there's also an opportunity to navigate through the applications. So here we could go to the previous application, which would take us back to Billy Goodhire. Or again, we could use next to go to Joseph Smith. Let's see here. And so that will be it. You'll get to your last application and hit submit, and you'll be all set. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. Like I say, we'll get you set up with your account and some written instructions as well.
So as the applications are entered into the system, will they show up for us alphabetically or chronologically, or how do they get in the queue?
Sure, so I will have to assign them to you. So we had said that we would begin reviewing applications April 26th. That's what was in all the advertisement. So right around that time, we'll notify the commissioners of the applications that have been received and go ahead and release them through that Neogov system, and everyone should see them in alphabetical order.
Okay. And if we quit, let's say we review 5 of them, quit, go do something else and want to come back later, does it start us up where we finished, or how do we get back to rate the rest of them?
That's a good question. So you should be able to go back to that police chief posting. It might be a good idea to make note of which candidate you left off on in alphabetical order, and then you could just go ahead and select that next application and continue to review down.
Okay, because I recall there was a process that we could do before where it wouldn't repeat us and we could start out, but I couldn't remember how we got into that. Okay.
Did anyone else have questions?
I'm sure I'll have more questions once we're in the
And you
actual
could always email me or give me a call. But it's pretty nice. It's much nicer than copying all of the applications and arranging that, especially during COVID times too, so.
Yeah, it actually, it is a pretty simple system to use. And the thing I like about it is we can log our comments in, and so we can see each other's comments, and might cause us to look for something else in there or understand what goes, so that when we meet together in person or in Zoom to discuss those, we'll already have that background for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And Warren, you have to do these yourself.
As opposed to?
Just teasing you. All right, any other questions?
What's the timing of this going to be? Rod?
We get to that. So the applications are due at the end of April. So we can set how fast we want to go through. But what I recommend is, right now we don't know how many they're going to be. When we hired Chief Smith, there were around 50 applications. So there could be more or less than that. So What I recommend is that as we get closer to the end of April and find out how many we think we are going to have, then we can poll the commissioners and see how much time you think we would need to go through all of them. And in fact, you may want to go through a couple first and just see how long it takes you to do that review. And then from that, we can do a poll and determine how much time we think we want to provide based on what everyone's schedule is. Any other questions?
No questions about the software, the presentation that we just got on that, but just a question about process. Are we going to build anything in this process to give the women and men of the department a chance to weigh in? Like, do we have the ability to set up an email box or something that they could potentially provide what's important to them? I had a couple officers at my house yesterday from some stuff at the house, and during that conversation, I had just asked, like, what kind of stuff is important to you all on the force and a police chief? And I didn't identify myself as a commissioner. I was just trying to ask the question, and they were like, "Oh, that's an interesting question. No one ever asked us that question." And they had stuff to say, and so it just made me think that, will we have the ability to, again, set up an inbox and people can weigh in as they want, but just giving the women and men of the force an opportunity to weigh in, because that's an important relationship.
Yeah, by all means, I think that should be a part of our community input as well. So by community input, it wasn't meant to exclude the department. It's meant to be all inclusive of people within the department as well as people within the rest of the community. So yeah, Rashad, I think it's very important that we get the input from the people in the department.
Unlike the public, would it be possible to get for them to make comments or suggestions anonymously?
Yeah, we can. We have the ability to set this up however we want, and my personal feeling is, yeah, there's some people that don't like to speak in groups. There's some people that want to remain anonymous. There's some people that may not want to speak in groups, but are okay speaking in front of someone or letting you know who they are. There'll be some people that are fine speaking. So I think we need to provide opportunity for everybody to feel comfortable giving us input in what they want to see in the next chief. I think where the question and the difficulty comes in is once you get to that point, then it becomes the commission's responsibility to do the interviews and to do the interview process. And as a separate non-political board or commission, it's important that we do that work ourselves. But gathering input ahead of time on attributes and backgrounds and skills and things like that, yes, by all means, we can set up however we choose to do that. And I know, and Rashad has been working on some different options for locations and times and things like that we'll get in the hands of the commissioners and decide how best to do those. All right, are we ready to go into the patrol officer reviews? Okay, we have two separate closed session items on the agenda, item 2 and item 4. And we will, I'll read the closed session statement for both of those. We'll do one vote, and we will handle both of those while in closed session, and I will report out separately from those. The first is consideration with possible action on the review of patrol officer candidate backgrounds. The commission may convene in closed session pursuant to sections 19.85, paragraph 1, sub-C and F Wisconsin statutes to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercise responsibility. The commission may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to sections 19.85, paragraph 2, Wisconsin statutes, to report the results of the closed session and consider the balance of the agenda. And item 4 is interviews with patrol officer candidates. Please take note that pursuant to sections 19.85, paragraph 1, sub C and F Wisconsin statutes, the commission may convene in closed session for the purpose of interviewing, evaluating, and considering employment of patrol officer candidates. Is there a motion to go into closed session for those two items?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wanazak. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Roloff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're in closed session.
Just give me
And
one
we'll
moment.
wait until Jen gives us the high. Opposed. All right.
Okay, we're recording again.
Okay, we are back in open session. While in closed session, we covered two agenda items. We reviewed the backgrounds on 4 candidates. One of those candidates we chose to not continue in the process. In addition, we had interviews with 3 candidates. 2 of the candidates we chose to continue in the hiring process, and 1 candidate we are seeking additional information concerning that individual. And I'll entertain a motion to approve that report.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Roloff,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Cobb. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, none opposed. The normal date of our next meeting would be May 6th. However, given the need for officers, we may or may not, I guess, be asked to come at a different, any forewarning of whether they'll be interviewed prior to that time?
Yeah, Rod, it appears right now that we'll probably have at least 4 for you, maybe even as many as 6. We're going to be running another test again on the 15th and then again on the 17th. So we'll be jumping on top of the top candidates off that list right away. However, we have some others that we're working on the current list who are probably going to be potential sponsorship candidates that we're going to need to get through the PFC relatively quickly because the Academy is going to be starting here soon.
Okay.
So in order to get them through the whole process and get them into the Academy on time, we're probably going to have to do one before the 6th.
Okay. So in that case, we'll just leave it open and we'll have Haley contact us and choose the date that works for us to do those other interviews.
That sounds good.
All right. There are no public hearings. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wanazak,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Roloff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? We are adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Take care.